There's a moment that almost everyone watching this has experienced. It's the moment when your phone lights up with a notification. Maybe it's your salary hitting your account. Maybe it's a bonus. Maybe it's a new job offer with a higher number than you've ever seen next to your name. For a few seconds, your shoulders relax. You breathe differently. You think, this is it. This is the thing that finally fixes everything. And then time passes. Not months, sometimes just weeks. And somehow you're back in the same place. The same stress. The same tight feeling in your chest when bills come due. The same confusion about where the money actually went. At some point, a quieter thought creeps in. You don't usually say it out loud, but it's there. Maybe I'm just bad with money. You look around and see people earning less than you who seem calmer. You watch videos telling you to budget harder, wake up earlier, grind more, invest smarter. And when none of it seems to stick, the conclusion feels obvious. The problem must be you. But here's the uncomfortable truth most financial advice skips past. The feeling you're experiencing is not laziness. It's not irresponsibility. It's not a lack of discipline. It's the psychological weight of scarcity. And scarcity doesn't just make life harder. It actively changes how your brain works. When you're living close to the edge, money stops being a tool and becomes a constant alarm. Every decision carries pressure. Every unexpected expense feels like a threat. Your mind is never fully at rest because it can't afford to be. You're not failing a money game. You're playing a completely different one. This video is not here to shame you or motivate you with slogans. It's here to explain something most people never tell you. You're not bad with money. You're just poor. And poverty does something to the human mind that looks from the outside like bad decisions. Let's slow this down and put it on a whiteboard. Imagine two lives. In the first life, someone earns just enough to cover rent, food, transportation, and a few small comforts. There's no real margin. If something breaks, it goes on a credit card. Savings exist, but barely. In the second life, someone earns more than they need. Not rich, just enough that their basics are always covered and there's extra at the end of the month. Now look at the math of a single mistake. In the second life, a bad decision costs maybe 2 or 3% of monthly income. It's annoying, but recoverable. In the first life, the same mistake might cost 20 or 30% of what's left after bills. That's not a mistake. That's a crisis. This is where most financial advice collapses. It treats all dollars as equal, but they're not. The first dollars you earn are already spoken for. Rent doesn't scale down because you want to save. Food doesn't negotiate. Transportation doesn't care about your goals. So when advice says, just save 10%, what it's really saying is, remove 10% from the part of your income that's already under extreme pressure. When you're poor, every decision is interconnected. One late fee leads to another. One emergency creates a chain reaction. You're not managing money, you're managing damage. This is why budgeting feels exhausting instead of empowering. On paper, the numbers might work. In real life, the margin for error is zero. And when there's no margin, your brain shifts into survival mode. Long-term thinking becomes a luxury you can't afford. This is where the real aha moment happens. Researchers like Mullainathan and Shafir studied what happens to people under conditions of scarcity. And what they found changes how we should think about poverty entirely. Scarcity doesn't just limit what you can do, it consumes your mental bandwidth. When money is tight, your brain is constantly running background calculations. Can I afford this? What happens if that bill hits early? What if something goes wrong? That constant mental load reduces your ability to plan, focus, and resist short-term temptations. Not because you're weak, but because your cognitive resources are already maxed out. This is the scarcity mindset. It narrows your time horizon. It forces you to prioritize immediate relief over long-term benefit. And from the outside, it looks like poor judgment. Inside, it feels like drowning. The system then adds penalties on top of this. Fees for being late, higher interest for having less, fewer options, more rules, harsher consequences. Poverty isn't just the absence of money, it's a tax on attention, energy, and mental clarity. So when someone says, "Why didn't you plan better?" they're ignoring the fact that planning requires surplus. Time surplus, money surplus, mental surplus. Scarcity removes all three. This is why climbing out feels impossible. The very condition that requires better decisions also makes those decisions harder to execute. It's not a personal failure, it's a structural trap. So what do you do with this knowledge? First, you stop hating yourself. Shame is not a strategy, it drains the little bandwidth you have left. Understanding scarcity reframes your past not as evidence of incompetence, but as proof of endurance. Second, the goal shifts. It's no longer about becoming perfect with money. It's about buying back bandwidth. Even small increases in margin change everything. One bill automated, one emergency fund buffer, one expense removed permanently. These are not small wins, they are cognitive wins. Third, you design your financial life to require less willpower, not more. Automation beats motivation. Simplicity beats optimization. Stability beats speed. The real exit strategy from poverty is not discipline, it's margin. And finally, remember this. If you've been surviving, you've already been doing something right. The problem was never that you didn't try hard enough. The problem is that scarcity makes everything harder than it looks from the outside. You're not bad with money, you're just poor. And once you understand that, the story changes from blame to strategy, from shame to structure, from "what's wrong with me" to "what system do I need to escape this?"